Greetings YouTube, and today I want to do something a little bit different. I've not done this before on my channel, but I want to talk to you about a book. This book, to be precise, this is the Ni No Kuni II Collector's Edition Strategy Guide, which is published by Future Press. And I actually forgot I'd got this one pre-ordered, to tell you the truth, because the game came out in March of this year, and the guide has literally just been delivered to me today, and we are now in May. So I'm a little bit disappointed about the delay. I've actually already got the Platinum trophy for Ni No Kuni II, so straight away the guide has kind of lost a huge sense of its appeal. That said, there's a lot of information in this, so if you haven't played Ni No Kuni II as of yet, or if you are currently playing it, then I'm going to be explaining to you whether I think this guide is worthy of your attention. Of course, I would be amiss if I didn't mention the fact that I have done a huge Ni No Kuni II walkthrough series myself, a video series on YouTube. That said, the guide that I'm holding is everything you need to get the Platinum trophy for Ni No Kuni II. It is 680 pages in length, so for those of you that are familiar with the Future Press strategy guides, you will understand that, of course, that they put out some of the best strategy guides of any publishing company, and this one is no different. It contains an absolute ton of information. That said, there are a few things I'm disappointed in, and I will just mention those briefly before we have a look at what the guide itself does in fact contain for you. So first of all, I have mentioned that there was a delay. I'm not sure what that was about. It seems to be a common thing with the Future Press strategy guides. They never seem to be released when the game itself is released, as we get with other guide publishers. And whether that's because of the extra care and attention that they're putting into their guides, I'll leave that for you to decide. But either way, it's been nearly 2 months since the game came out, so I was kind of hoping that the delay was due to the fact that we already know there's DLC coming with Ni No Kuni II. A little bit later on. I was hoping that some of the information about that was going to be included in the strategy guide. Unfortunately, that is not the case. This guide covers only what is currently in the game, so as soon as the DLC starts to get released, then it will be outdated in that sense. But also, this is, I'm not sure if you can see this, it does say it's a collector's edition guide. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have anything that would make it a collector's edition guide in the actual information itself. Normally with a collector's edition guide, you will get interviews with the developers of the game, you'll get special pieces of artwork, and basically, just some cool stuff that doesn't actually affect how you play the game, but is really nice to have as part of the tome. That isn't present in this case. That said, as I mentioned, there is already 680 pages here, so there's lots and lots of stuff for you to read. Now, much of that is the figures and the facts in terms of various enemy stats and player stats and weapon stats, etc, etc. So that will fill up a lot of these pages and higgledies, but of course that is important information, and it's stuff that the game itself doesn't give you. So in that sense, this is also going to be very, very useful. But let's have a look inside now. I'll show you some example pages, which I'm pretty sure will be covered under fair use, and then hopefully you can make an informed decision about this particular strategy guide. Right, so hopefully you guys can see this here. This is the contents page to the guide, and as I said, it does contain absolutely everything that you will need to know in order to platinum the game. Absolutely everything, okay? So yeah, it doesn't have anything about the DLC or anything that's coming in the future, but in terms of what the game has available to you now, if that's all you're interested in, then this guide is perfect. So first of all, it starts off, as you can see, the system guide, which is the first chapter, and that's just where the game is going to go over the basics for you, as you would expect in any strategy guide. And it does contain some helpful information, it has to be said. And then we have the combat guide, it tells us about the intricacies of the combat in Ni No Kuni II, including explaining some icons and terms that you might not otherwise be familiar with, based solely on what information the game gives you. Chapter 3 then is where things get a little bit more interesting, because we have over, I think, about 70 pages all dedicated to the kingdom builder in Ni No Kuni II, obviously a major feature of the game, and the guide gives you pretty much every bit of information that you will need to know about how to best max out your kingdom, especially early on when resources are limited. In Chapter 4 then we move on to the main quest story, and as you would expect you get a full walkthrough of that, and the good thing about it is it does include a whole bunch of maps as well for every stage of the walkthrough, with all the points of interest that you'll be interested in, including any optional stuff that you might want to go and explore. And the way it does the walkthrough as well is it breaks it up by telling you what tasks, optional tasks, you may want to do at that particular time in order to maximise your playthrough. And then after that, the next chapter is all about side quests. There's a lot of side quests in Ni No Kuni II. There's 170 in total, and so obviously it helps to have the guide to pinpoint all of the items and everything you need to finish those, or the areas you need to go to, etc, etc. And next up, we have skirmishes, and there's a lot of information in this book about skirmishes. It's not a feature that many people like, I'm going to be honest with you, but it is an important part of the game. It is required in order to complete the game, along with getting the Platinum Trophy. So this guide will give you the information you need to do so. And then it has a lot of stats on monsters, and then chapters dedicated to items and equipment, and then lots of other information in order to help you with Dreamer's Doors, which are a good piece of optional content in the game, and also a guide to all of the different trophies you can get. There's also at the back a whole bunch of different maps, as well as the ones that are found throughout the walkthrough. Okay then, so as I finish off here, I'm just going to show you some random photos of inside the guide, and they are picked at random, just to give you a good example as to the kind of content and quality that you can expect from this. Overall, it is very good, there's no question about that. What I would say is that if you've not played Ni No Kuni II before, and you're picking this guide up with the game, you're going to find it very, very helpful indeed. However, there's not a whole lot of information in this guide now that it's been released that isn't already available on the internet, so just bear that in mind. They didn't get this guide out when the game came out, unfortunately, and I have to say I think that means that it is going to suffer in terms of its sales, which is a shame, because if this came out when the game came out, I think a lot of people would have been raving about it, but as of now it's perhaps not as needed as much as it otherwise would have been. That said, there is still information in here that the game doesn't really make clear to you, in particular the stats of enemies, for example. There's no way, from what I can see anyway in game, to find out, for example, how much health a boss has or an enemy has. This pretty much will answer all of those questions for you. Except for a few occasions. There are a couple of enemies that I would have liked to have known, for example, the amount of health that they had. In particular, and minor spoilers with what I say next, so just bear that in mind. I'll try and be careful with what I say. With the bosses that you can repeat later on, there's certain bosses you can repeat. They obviously have different stats because they increase in difficulty each time you battle them. None of those stats are present in this guide, and I would have liked to have known what they were, which is unfortunate, but it's not really needed. You don't need to know those to get the Platinum Trophy or to complete the game or to kill those enemies, but it's just information that I would have liked to have known. So is this guide absolutely perfect? No, it's not. There are a few issues, and I believe I've spoken about those throughout this video. However, it does have a lot of positives. It does have a lot of information. Everything you need to complete the game, everything you need to complete all the optional content and all the trophies in the game. The presentation overall is absolutely fantastic. The paper is very good quality. It's a heavy book, just bear that in mind, at 680 pages. Look at the thickness there, if you can see that. So it's not an easy one to just have on your lap while you're playing. You will need some space, say on a desk or something, in order to rest it down, especially if you're going for longer play sessions. Just something to bear in mind. There is no e-guide available with this, unfortunately. And if it sounds like I'm being overly critical, please don't take it that way. I just want to make sure that you do get all the information that you might be interested in before purchasing. Overall, I would definitely rate this guide. It is a great guide. It's very, very helpful, and it's just a treasure really to behold. I'm happy to add this one to my collection of strategy guides. There's already a couple of points in there that I didn't think of when I played the game through myself, even though I've got the Platinum Trophy. Because of this book, I am still learning new things about the game. But if you've picked this guide up yourself, then I'd love to hear your thoughts about it as well. So please do share those in the comment section. Hopefully this little mini video review, I guess we can call it that, has been helpful to you. If it has, please don't forget to just leave a like on this video, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're interested in seeing more content like this in the future. So that's it. This is the Ni No Kuni II Collector's Edition Strategy Guide. I've been your host, Fuzzfinger, and I'll see you next time.